everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here and you're wondering how that happened, whether you're into handmade crafts, intrigue of criminal cases, or the mysteries that lie beneath, stick around, hit that like button, and subscribe because you have found your people. By the end of this video, you'll see a handcrafted product come to life as we journey through another criminal case. Check out the description box below for more details on the product that I'm creating, and feel free to check out our website while you're there. Now, let's get into today's story. Craigslist, a virtual marketplace, offers a myriad of possibilities: a new apartment, gardening tools, or a cross-country ride. Yet among the sea of transactions, a sinister underbelly lurks, where the unwary can stumble into perilous encounters, robberies, sexual assaults, and sudden violent deaths. There have been at least 131 Craigslist-related murders since 2007. Michael Johnson Anderson, the first man to be labeled the Craigslist killer by the media, struggled with social interactions, particularly with women. Described by his attorney as a dumb kid, Anderson, at 19 years old, was socially awkward and inexperienced, having never even held a girl's hand. His awkwardness led him to use Craigslist as a means to connect with others. Posing as a married woman named Amy, Anderson placed several ads on the online marketplace seeking nanny services for her 5-year-old. It was through one of these ads that he connected with 24-year-old Catherine Ann Olson, theater and Hispanic student graduate of St. Olaf College and temporary nanny, who was seeking a babysitting job. Pretending to be Amy, Anderson lured Olson to his Savage, Minnesota home on October 25, 2007. Tragically, upon Olson's arrival, Anderson shot her in the back with the Magnum Blackhawk revolver. He then placed her body in the trunk of her car, where she bled to death, clutching a fistful of her pearls. The car containing Olson's body was discovered on October 26, 2007, in Burnsville Nature Preserve. There was no evidence of sexual assault. In the courtroom, the defense team for Anderson sought to shed light on his actions by presenting a diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome, a form of autism. They argued that this condition played a significant role in the tragic shooting and helped explain Anderson's behavior following the incident. However, their efforts hit a roadblock when the judge made a decisive ruling. The judge determined that the evidence regarding Anderson's diagnosis would not be admissible in court. The rationale behind the decision was that there was insufficient proof to establish a direct link between the disorder and the crime. Furthermore, the judge expressed concerns that introducing such evidence could lead jurors to speculate about Anderson's mental capacity, a concept not recognized under Minnesota law. In the aftermath of the tragic killing, Anderson's demeanor raised unsettling questions about his emotional state. His behavior, characterized by a stark absence of remorse and, in some instances, a disturbing sense of pride, puzzled those around him. One such instance occurred when a friend questioned Anderson about his legal strategy, suggesting that he could plead insanity. Anderson's chilling response revealed a chilling facet of his psyche. He reportedly replied, "Because I'd have to pretend I'm sorry," before breaking into a smile. This reaction left those present unsettled, offering a glimpse into a mind seemingly disconnected from the gravity of his actions. Anderson was subsequently convicted on March 31, 2009 of first-degree premeditated murder. He received a life sentence without the possibility of parole and is currently incarcerated at the Minnesota Correctional Facility in Oak Park Heights. Philip Markoff appeared to have a promising future when he descended into a life of crime. Markoff graduated from high school in 2004, where he actively participated in various activities, such as the National Honor Society, the History Club, the Youth Court, and was a member of the school's bowling and golf teams. Following high school, Philip's personal life intertwined with his academic pursuits when he met Megan McAllister in 2005. In 2007, Philip completed his undergraduate studies and applied to several medical schools. During this time, the couple became engaged, planning to marry on August 14, 2009. However, Philip led a double life. He responded to sex worker ads on Craigslist, meeting the women at upscale hotels in Boston. There, he would hold them at gunpoint, tie them up, and rob them. In April 2009, Philip's crimes escalated. Over a few weeks, he robbed 3 women in a similar manner, fatally shooting his second victim, 26-year-old Jalissa Brisman, at the Boston Marriott. Jalissa was working as a part-time masseuse, trying to turn her life around by taking odd jobs after she quit bartending 2 years prior to stay sober. In her last diary entry, Jalissa wrote, "I had a taste of the sober life and I liked it." She also noted that she had recently gotten a tattoo on her foot of the date of her sobriety in hopes that she would not relapse. She kept this diary on a shelf among a collection of books about Marilyn Monroe. The cover of her diary was reprinted with the Serenity Prayer, which is often recited by those in recovery. Police swiftly identified Markoff as the suspect. Emails linked him to the crimes, a surviving victim identified him from a photograph, and Brisman's blood was found on his shoes upon arrest. McAllister ended their engagement shortly after Markoff's arrest. However, Markoff never faced trial. On what would have been his first wedding anniversary, he took his own life in his cell, using a makeshift scalpel. As a final act, he scrawled his former fiancé's name on the wall in blood. And on that note, I just needed to take a quick moment before our last story because this one is quite bizarre. So, if you made it this far, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and turn on the notification bell so you are notified when I upload every Saturday. This story is of a former preacher by the name of Richard Beasley. Richard Beasley's Craigslist ad seemed like a dream for a certain type of wanderer. "We need someone to watch our farm down in southern Ohio, live for free in a double-wide trailer, nothing in the way of duties except to take in the peacefulness of the countryside and make sure no one steals any farm equipment or perpetrates any mischief." Offering $300 per week, the ad concealed a sinister plan. Beasley was on the run for running a brothel out of a halfway house. He turned to Craigslist to find male victims, first for fake identity papers, then for income while evading the law. The live-in situation required victims to bring cash and belongings. Beasley had a 16-year-old accomplice by the name of Brogan Rafferty, whom he befriended at church. Rafferty described Beasley as having a jovial laugh, a beard, a belly, and even carrying around candy like Santa Claus. I'm sure he meant Krampus, because the two together lured and killed 3 men over 4 months in 2011. The killing spree ended when Scott Davis escaped an attempted murder and reported the duo to the police. On a brisk November day in 2011, Scott Davis arrived at a quaint restaurant in Noble County, eager to meet his new employer, a man who went by the name of Jack. Accompanying Jack was a young teenager that he introduced as his nephew, adding an air of trust to this meeting. Davis later found himself riding with Jack and his nephew to a secluded wooded area. Once there, Jack asked Davis to step out of the car with him to survey the surroundings. As they walked with Davis unknowingly leading the way, he suddenly heard a distinct click, a sound that sent a shiver down his spine. Turning around, Davis faced a horrifying sight, Jack pointing a gun directly at him. In a split second, the tranquility of the wooded area shattered as a gunshot rang out, ripping through Davis's elbow. Scott Davis managed to escape his attacker and hid for several hours before reaching a nearby house where the owner called 911. Meanwhile, police began their search for the shooter. They reviewed security footage from the restaurant where Davis had met the man known as Jack and his supposed nephew, hoping to identify the assailant. 5 days later, after Scott Davis narrowly escaped being killed, Deborah Bruce contacted the police about her missing twin brother, David Pauley, a 51-year-old man from Virginia. Pauley responded to an ad similar to the one that lured Davis. The police began to see a pattern. Both Davis and Pauley were middle-aged men with limited family connections, suggesting that the shooter might be targeting individuals fitting this profile. To gather more evidence, the police searched the area where Davis was attacked. Davis had mentioned losing his ball cap during his escape, which could potentially lead them to other clues. 2 days later, Detective Jason Mackey and his team found the cap and made a disturbing discovery nearby: a freshly dug grave, presumably intended for Davis. Although they found no sign of Pauley, authorities suspected that he might be buried in the vicinity. A reinforcement crew and cadaver dogs were brought in to assist in the search. The search led to the discovery of a man who had been shot in the back of the head. Deborah Bruce identified the victim as her brother, David Pauley, by a bracelet he was wearing. As the investigation continued, authorities uncovered the remains of a third victim, initially unidentified. Police sought assistance from the FBI to trace the origins of the Craigslist ad. Their efforts led them to a residence of a man named Joe in Ohio. Joe denied placing the ad, claiming that a tenant known as Dutch had rented his basement and used his computer and internet. Dutch was later identified as Richard Beasley. A search of Joe's home, where Beasley had stayed, revealed prescription pill bottles with the name Ralph. Ralph's body was confirmed to be the unidentified victim found in the woods where Scott Davis was shot. Investigators discovered that Richard Beasley assumed Ralph's identity as one of several aliases to evade returning to prison in Texas. Scott Davis positively identified images of Beasley as the man who shot him. Contrary to Beasley's claim, the teenager he introduced as his nephew was Brogan Rafferty, whom Beasley had taken under his wing. Authorities theorized that Rafferty's troubled home life and lack of parental guidance made him susceptible to Beasley's influence. Over time, Beasley groomed Rafferty, forging a relationship in which they committed crimes together. During the investigation, police found a briefcase at Rafferty's containing what they suspect as a killing kit filled with weapons. They also discovered a disturbing poem on his computer dated August 16, 2011, describing the murder of Ralph in the woods. As the manhunt for Beasley, known now as the Craigslist killer, intensified, police received a crucial lead. Unaware that Joe had been cooperating with authorities, Beasley left a message and a phone number with him. Using this number, police tracked Beasley's location through phone tower signals and arrested him on November 16th. Timothy Kern became the fourth victim when he died from a gunshot to the head on November 13th, 2011. His body was found in the woods behind a mall in Ohio on November 25th. In a subsequent interview, Rafferty revealed that the men who responded to the fake job ads were referred to as candidates because they were candidates for death. Beasley was convicted of aggravated murder, attempted murder, and other charges on March 13, 2013, and was sentenced to death. He is currently imprisoned at the Chillicothe Correctional Institution in Ohio. Rafferty received a life sentence without parole for his role, but when offered a deal that would have allowed him to be eligible for parole in middle age, he declined. Rafferty chose not to cooperate with the authorities or turn on Beasley. Despite the grim history of Craigslist-related murders, there are signs of a slowdown. Between 2007 and 2015, there were 83 documented murders. This decline could be credited to the removal of casual encounters in dating sections of the Craigslist website. It's important to remember the real-life tragedies that occurred. They serve as a stark reminder of the dangers that can lurk in the seemingly mundane corners of the internet. As we navigate the digital world, let's do so with caution and awareness, ensuring our safety and the safety of those around us. Let's keep the discussion alive in the comments. Which of these Craigslist stories shocked you the most? Have you ever used Craigslist? I personally have not, even though I'm from that era, so I'm curious to know your thoughts. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Until next time, self-care and stay safe.